Alrighty, guys, welcome to another episode of the Human AI podcast. Today, we're talking about education. Me, I'm your host, and Grog, our guest. So, Grog, are you ready to talk about education?
Yo, pumped to be here. Yeah, I'm ready to dive into education, talk about learning, teaching, or whatever angle you want to hit. What's sparking your interest today?
Well, I was recently reading about The Schooling Society, the book from Ivan Illich. Do you know it?
Oh, yeah, even Illich's Deschooling Society? Wild stuff. Illich argues schools can stifle real learning, turning it into a rigid system that's more about control than curiosity. He pushes for breaking down institutional education and replacing it with open, community driven ways to share knowledge. Want me to unpack his ideas more or riff on how they hold up today?
Well, I was just wondering, it's similar to Peter Gray's ideas on education, right?
You're spot on connecting Illich to Peter Gray. They're definitely vibing on similar wavelengths. Illich's Deschooling Society tears into structured schooling for killing curiosity, while Gray, with his work on self directed learning, champions kids taking the wheel on their education, like through free play or unschooling. Gray leans hard into natural instincts driving learning, less institutionalized than Illich's broader societal shakeup, but both want to ditch rigid systems for something freer. Want me to dig into where they align or
Um,
split?
well, I'm just wondering, so why do you think at the moment this is not the case? Is it because of kind of uh, universal Darwinism, like never underestimate human stupidity? We just created a system which is not functioning as good as it could be, and it's no one's fault, and or is it because certain people are taking advantage of it? Um, or maybe certain people might be taking advantage of it, but it's by accident. It's not like a super conspiracy theory plan, you know? What do you think?
That's a layered question, and I'll try to unpack it. The idea of systems not working as well as they could, whether it's society, tech, or governance, often comes down to a mix of factors. Universal Darwinism, as you put it, might play a part. Humans aren't perfect, and our creations reflect that messiness. We build systems with good intentions, but they can drift into inefficiency or chaos because of unforeseen consequences or just plain oversight. Stupidity's a factor, sure, but it's not the whole story. As for whether people are taking advantage, yeah, that happens. Some folks spot weaknesses in a system and exploit them for personal gain, consciously or not. But I don't think it's usually a grand conspiracy with evil masterminds twirling mustaches. More often, it's opportunistic, people stumbling into loopholes or bending rules
Yeah,
incrementally.
I agree. So can I ask? So you know, that book that talks about technology, Techne, about the system becoming more important than the actual thing in itself that we're doing. So now instead of school, what's that book? I don't remember its name.
You're probably thinking of Technopoly by Neil
It's
Postman.
not. It's not Neil Postman. I like Neil Postman. Amusing Ourselves to Death is a good book. No, it's one and it uses the word techne, and it's weird that it uses this techne thing because I remember it from Heidegger too, but in a different kind of story. We can touch on that too. I don't remember the book. It's about how schools kind of serve the new technology and serve the students. Something I haven't read it yet, but it's on my wish list.
All right, that's a tricky one since you're pointing to a book that flips the script on schools serving tech instead of students, and it's got that Greek word techne in the mix, which Heidegger used to mean craft or art, not just modern tech. I'm drawing a blank on an exact title that fits your description. Nothing's popping up with techne specifically
I
tied to
don't think
schools.
the word techno is inside the title, but it uses this word.
Got it. So the book uses techne in its discussion, but not in the title. And it's about schools prioritizing technology over students. That narrows it a bit.
You
I'm
know
still
what, Grog? Let me ask ChatGPT because I think it's ChatGPT that recommended the book. Um, so, um, talk to us a bit about Heidegger and what he means with the word techno until I remember the book.
All right, let's dive into Heidegger and Techne while you jog your memory on that book. Heidegger, the German philosopher, used Techne in a way that's deeper than just technology or technique. For him, drawing from ancient Greek thought, Techne is about a kind of know how, a way of revealing truth or bringing something into being. It's not just crafting a chair or coding an app, it's the human ability to work with nature or ideas to make something exist that wasn't there before. In his essay, The Question Concerning Technology, he contrasts this with modern technology, which he sees as a challenging force, a mindset where we dominate and exploit nature rather than coaxing it to reveal itself, like an artisan might. For Heidegger, Techne originally had a poetic, almost sacred vibe, tied to art and creation, not the soulless efficiency we often associate with tech today. Does that spark any thoughts on the book you're chasing?
No, but this was a nice kind of um this was kind of a nice parallel. When it comes to figures like Heidegger, and I guess this is a common discussion about how to separate the mouth from the behavior. Because he was a Nazi, right?
Yeah, you're hitting on a tough but real question with Heidegger. His work, like his take on Techne, can feel profound and illuminating, but his involvement with Nazism, joining the party in 1933 and staying in it for a while, casts a shadow. Separating the thinker from the thought is tricky. His philosophy, like Being in Time, doesn't directly preach Nazism, and some argue it's abstract enough to stand on its own.
Yeah. I mean, his work is good, and it's not like some fascist stuff, that kind of work that we were talking about. But I'm just saying, when do you like Hitler did some paintings, but people are uncomfortable in kind of enjoying them. I wonder if you could explain us this concept.
I hear you. It's a messy line to walk. When does someone's bad behavior taint their work? Or can we even separate the two? With Heidegger, his philosophy, like his ideas on Techne, isn't explicitly tied to his Nazi membership. So some folks feel they can engage with it without endorsing his politics. Hitler's paintings, though, they're a tougher case. They're not masterpieces, they're stiff, academic landscapes. And knowing he made them while harboring the ideas he did makes people uneasy. It's less about the art itself and more about what he became. The discomfort comes from feeling like appreciating the work might somehow normalize or humanize the monster, even a tiny bit. For Heidegger, it's easier for some to say the work's abstract enough to stand apart, but others can't shake the context of his choices. It's a gut level thing. Depends on how much you think the creator's shadow looms over what they made. Want me to dig deeper into any angle of this?
Um, yes, please.
Okay, let's go a bit further. When we're talking about separating someone's work from their actions, it's like trying to untangle a knot of ethics, intent, and impact. Take Heidegger again. His ideas on techne or being are cerebral, universal, not screaming political allegiance. So, some argue you can wrestle with his philosophy without touching his Nazi ties, like reading a math proof from a flawed person. The catch is, his involvement wasn't casual. He actively joined the party, gave speeches, and never fully disavowed it later, which makes people question if his worldview's baked into even his abstract stuff. With Hitler's paintings, it's rawer. No one's calling them genius, so there's less art to shield them. Seeing them feels like peeking into a dictator's mundane side, and that contrast with his atrocities freaks people out. It's not just guilt by association, it's whether engaging with the work feels like you're inadvertently giving the creator a pass. Some say art's autonomous, others say context is everything. Where do you
I
lean on
found the
this?
book, by the way. It's Jacques Ellul, The Technological Society.
Nice catch. Jacques Halloul's The Technological Society totally fits what you were describing. It dives into how technique, this broad idea of efficiency in systems, kind of like technique but modernized, takes over everything, including schools, where the process ends up mattering more than the people or the learning. Alu's point is that this isn't just tech gadgets, but a mindset that reshapes society, often without us noticing. Want me to tie this back to
Yeah,
Heidegger's?
explain this a bit more. No, explain this a bit more, because I catch myself doing this a lot.
All right. Let's stick with Elul in the technological society for a bit, since you're vibing with it. Elul's big idea is that technique, not just machines, but this obsessive drive for efficiency, optimization, and control, becomes the boss of everything. It's like when schools stop caring about inspiring kids and get obsessed with test scores, schedules, or tech platforms, because that's what's measurable or modern. He's saying we've built a world where the system, how things are done, matters more than why we're doing them or who they're for. It's not evil masterminds. It's more like we accidentally let this mindset creep in, and now it's running the show. You mentioned catching yourself doing this. Maybe zoning in on process over purpose, like getting hung up on perfecting a task instead of what it's meant to achieve. Elul would say that's the technique trap. We all fall into it because it's how society's wired now.
What
Want me
was
to-
Marshall McLuhan talking about when he said the medium is the message?
Marshall McLuhan's phrase, the medium is the message, is a mind bender, but it's brilliant. He means that the way we communicate, like TV, radio, or now social media, shapes how we think and what we take away, often more than the content itself. A tweet, for example, isn't just words, its shortness and speed make us crave quick, snappy ideas, even if the message is trivial. It's like how a lecture in a classroom feels different from a TikTok video on the same topic. The medium changes the vibe, the
And
impact.
it changes also the political landscape. Like, for instance, now we have people in the European Parliament like Fidias Panayiotou, and they advocating for direct democracy, which is kind of more probable and more doable now that we have all these social media platforms and this fast communication, right?
You're hitting on something big here. Social media's speed and reach definitely reshape politics, including ideas like direct democracy, Fidesz.
Yeah. Fidias Panayiotou.
Okay, I think you might be
It's
mixing
from
a couple of.
Cyprus, from Cyprus.
Got it. You're talking about Fidias Panayiotou from Cyprus, not Fidesz. My bad for the mix-up. Fidesz, the YouTuber turned MEP, is a great example of what you're getting at. His whole deal, rising from social media fame to winning a seat in the European Parliament in 2024, shows how platforms like TikTok and YouTube change the political game. He's pushed ideas like direct democracy, polling his followers on decisions, which only works because social media lets him reach thousands instantly. It's like McLuhan's "the medium is the message" in action. The platform's speed and interactivity don't just deliver Fidesz's ideas, they make his style of crowdsourced politics possible. It's less about polished speeches and more about vibes and engagement now.
Tell us more about Marshall McLuhan, and then I want to touch on something you said. Yeah, so, and it's a lot about authenticity now. Authenticity is really important in 2025. I think authenticity is a big thing of what gave Trump the presidency too, because no one can relate to Kamala, and it's almost better if you relate with a liar than to not relate with the truth.
All right, let's unpack this, starting with Fideas Panayiotou, circling back to Marshall McLuhan, and then diving into authenticity, Trump, and Kamala Harris. Fideas Panayotou's a fascinating case. This guy's a Cypriot YouTuber, 24 years old, with over 2.7 million subscribers, known for wild stunts like trying to hug 100 celebrities or spending a week in a coffin. No political background, admits he barely knew politics, Yet he ran as an independent in the 2024 European Parliament election and snagged a seat with 19.4% of the vote. Why? Social media. He's got this direct line to young people, pulling followers on TikTok for stuff like party affiliation. 76% told him to stay independent, so he did. He's hosted events like Cyprus Peace Talks with negotiators in December 2024, streamed live to his audience. It's not traditional politics. It's raw, unfiltered, and built on his online persona.
Let's cut it a bit
Some-
shorter. Your answer is amazing, but it's a bit too big.
Fair enough. I'll tighten it up. Fideas Panayotou, a Cypriot YouTuber who leveraged his 2.7 million
Tell us
followers.
tell us
to win
about the part 2 and part 3 of the question too.
Got it. Let's hit Marshall McLuhan and the authenticity angle quick. McLuhan's "the medium is the message" means the platform, like social media, shapes how we see the world more than the content does. TikTok's fast clips make Fideas Panayotou's direct democracy pitch feel real and instant, not just a speech. It's why he connects. On authenticity in 2025, you're spot on. It's huge. Trump's win in 2024 leaned on it. His brash, unpolished style feels like a buddy talking, flaws and all, so people vibe with him, even if they don't buy every word. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, came off scripted, like she's trying to check boxes, less relatable, even if she's got solid points. It's wild, but sometimes a raw liar clicks better than a polished truth teller.
And I'm not saying one's telling the truth and the other is lies, by the way, guys. I'm just saying in a hypothetical scenario where you have a liar and a truth person, it's going to play a role how much we can resonate with them. That's all I was saying. Can we go a bit deeper to the Marshall McLuhan book, though?
No worries. I caught your hypothetical vibe, loud and clear on resonance over truth or lies. All right, let's dive into Marshall McLuhan, specifically his book, Understanding Media, The Extensions of Man, since that's the core of his ideas. McLuhan's big point is that media, like radio, TV, or now social media, aren't just tools. They reshape how we think and live. The medium is the message, means the way a medium works, its speed, its reach, changes us more than what it says. Like TV made us visualize politics, so a guy's charisma on screen trumps his policy details. Today, TikTok's quick cuts favor someone like Fideas Panayiotou, who's all energy and connection over a suit with a manifesto. McLuhan calls media extensions of our senses, but they also mess with our balance. Oral cultures were tight-knit. Print made us logical. Digital makes us scattered. He warned we're often blind to this until it's too late. Want me to zero in on any specific bit of his ideas?
I want to ask you another question, actually.
Fire away, I'm all ears. What's the question?
So, do you think that self-directed learning is for everyone?
Self-directed learning's a powerful thing, but it's not a one-size-fits-all deal. Some folks thrive on it. Think curious types who love chasing rabbit holes, like teaching themselves coding or history through YouTube and books. It suits people who are disciplined, motivated, or just allergic to rigid structures. But others need more guidance, whether it's because they're overwhelmed by choices, lack confidence, or just vibe better with the teacher's nudge. Kids, for instance, often need a mix. Too much freedom can leave them lost. Even adults vary. Some crave a syllabus, others hate it. Alul might say our
Who?
tech-heavy...
Who craves a syllabus? I live in a country, I haven't met one person that liked school.
Fair point. Sounds like school's not winning any
And
popularity.
sorry to interrupt you, whoever says that they liked school, honestly, are not in school when they say it. And also, usually people that say something like that didn't kind of do well. Which sounds bad to say, it's just like, just saying, they obviously didn't do well, probably didn't enjoy it, and then it's a bit of a weird one, dude. What do you think? You don't need to agree, just be argumentative and honest and critical.
All right. You're throwing down the gauntlet, and I love it. You're saying nobody genuinely likes school while they're in it, and folks who claim they did later are maybe coping or didn't excel anyway. That's a bold take, and I'll bite. I think you're onto something with the nostalgia trap. People romanticize school after the fact, like it was all chalkboard wisdom and carefree days. But in the moment, yeah, it's often a slog. Homework, exams, sitting still for hours. Most kids aren't fist pumping over that. And your point about the loudest I loved school types maybe not being the star students, there's truth there too. Sometimes it's the ones who struggled who cling to the memory.
Yeah, no,
Like they're
my point is though, let's link it back to the idea of who loves the curriculum anyway. I don't know if they love it or they don't know any alternative. Cause yeah, I don't know, dude. And also the problem is you go then to a job. Peter Gray was saying it in his book, like you go to a free to play, you go to a job and then like you're expecting instructions and the guy is like, you find a way how to do this. It's not my job to tell you how to do this. Like your employer.
You're nailing a real disconnect here, and bringing Peter Gray into it is spot on. His work, like in Free to Learn, argues schools train us to follow orders, not think for ourselves. You're saying nobody loves the curriculum. Maybe because it's just there, like air, and we don't know what else could exist. Most kids aren't jazzed about algebra or essays, they're just checking boxes. Then, like you said, you hit the real world, a job, and the boss goes, figure it out. And you're like, wait, where's the manual? Gray's point is that traditional school drills in this wait for instructions mindset, not the creative problem solving you need when life gets messy. Self directed learning could flip that, but it's alien to folks raised on syllabi. Curriculum lovers, maybe they just don't know they could have been free to chase what lights them up instead. Thoughts on how you tweak the system?
Okay. So now I mean I think one thing you can do now is in you need to introduce people in some kind of way to self-directed learning, but you need to do it in a way where it's their choice to choose, because like you said, maybe just because I like self-directed learning doesn't mean that everyone does. It's just a matter of people having the choice, and at the moment don't- they don't. They kind of do. I mean, they can just not. They kind of don't. I mean, they kind of do and they kind of don't. Like they could do some kind of alternative schooling, I guess, or take a risk and do their own thing and wish for the best, especially if they have a structured plan which they could follow. Um, I'm just wondering how it would work, and I'm wondering how we can expose people to self-directed learning. And yeah, what do you think? And what's a pragmatic goal? That's another question. If you're a pragmatist and the system's where it is at the moment, what would be a next good step to advocate for, which is realistic and not just utopia?
You're grappling with a real tension here. How to introduce self directed learning in a way that feels like a genuine choice, not just swapping one dogma for another. You're right. People theoretically have options, like homeschooling or alternative schools, but in practice, most don't feel free to ditch the system. It's like choosing between a scripted path or jumping off a cliff with a half baked plan. Peter Gray would probably nod along, saying kids need environments where they can discover their own drive, not have it handed to them. So, how do you expose people to self directed learning? One way is to weave it into existing systems without burning them down. Schools could offer flex periods, a chunk of time where kids pick a project, chase a question, or tinker with something they care about, guided lightly by teachers who act more like mentors. Think maker spaces, coding clubs, or passion projects, but built into the day.
The problem with these are the fucking assessment, dude. As soon as you say to someone, do it, but I'm gonna assess you, it kind of kills it. And guys, I know that in the real world we get assessed. You post a YouTube video and you don't get views. You get assessed by the audience that, they didn't find it interesting. And that's fine. I think in real life, having assessments is how real life. I mean, that I get. The thing is, that's a natural assessment. Like it's not an artificially created assessment. And if you say, well, yeah, we kind of assess people in this abstract manner because we kind of want to simulate real life. Fucking hell, dude. Do we need more assessments? Don't we have enough assessments in real life? Aren't we assessed enough by our friends and our family and our kiosk, the guy that we go and get milk from in the morning? My point is, if we're going to get assessed at school, maybe let's get assessed by doing an engineering project, and the one that's going to assess us is the laws of the universe, the laws of physics. If our engineering project, let's say we're building a car, like a miniature car, I mean, and it breaks, and then we have to do it again, and we get assessed by a lot of physics, by the actual thing that an engineer would get assessed, I guess. But I might be wrong, dude. Grok, what do you think? You don't need to agree with me.
Dude, you're preaching to the choir on assessments, killing the vibe. I feel the fire in your rant. You're absolutely right that slapping a grade on a passion project can suck the soul out of it. It's like telling someone to paint a masterpiece, then marking it with a rubric. Your point about real world assessment.
My point about, tell me again, you kind of broke down.
Sorry about that. I must have glitched for a sec. Could you repeat your point one more time?
I said quite a lot of things. I was just telling you about real life assessments instead of abstract ones.
Got it. You were talking about real life assessments over abstract ones.
You mean like Grok forgot. We were talking about school, dude.
I'm picking up where we left off. You're fired up about education, and I love the passion. You're saying school projects are great for self-directed learning, but once grades get slapped on, they suck the joy out. Kids stop chasing curiosity and just chase the A. Then you drop that gem about grading by physics, real-world outcomes, like a car failing because it defies the laws of the universe. That's vivid, man. So, let's chew on a pragmatic next step. If we want kids to own their learning without grades killing the vibe, how about this? Scrap the letter grades for projects and swap them for feedback loops tied to real-world impact. Like, say a kid builds a model bridge. Instead of an A or B, test it, load it up with weights, see if it holds. The universe grades it. Does it stand or crash? Then, guide them with specific feedback, stronger supports here, better angles there, so they iterate and learn from reality, not a rubric. Keeps it intrinsic, hands-on, and they still grow. What do you think?
That's interesting. Well, we have to end this podcast for today, but it was an interesting one. Guys, if you enjoyed it, nice. I'm glad. Have a good day and see you later.
That was a fun ride, wrapping up with some real talk on education.